right, once again, everybody, thanks for spending some time with us here on another edition of the 19th Hole, a podcast for golfers. I'm your host, Dennis Silvers. Hope you're having a great day. Hope you're out, playing some golf, shooting some good scores. But if not, our guest today is just a fabulous, fabulous guy, both on and off the golf course, former tour professional. He has come up with an innovation that we'll talk a lot about during the show that I'm telling you is going to guarantee you to lower your score each and every round that you play. It's not difficult, it's not hard, but man, it is a whole lot of fun. As usual, we're coming to you from the best damn production studio here in Southern Nevada, and of course that's Rigel Studios, right in the heart of Las Vegas, just moments away from the Las Vegas Strip, steps away from the iconic Boulevard, and we're happy to have you here. By the way, just as another reminder, because I know sometimes I might forget, if you look at us on YouTube, if you look at us on Facebook or any of the other social media platforms that we're on, please subscribe, please give us a like, please give us a nice comment. We'd love to hear from you as far as good guests, bad guests, what you'd like to see, different kind of segments. We really would appreciate that. So, because we're more than happy to do what you want. Because hey, I'm only the I'm only the host. So we're here for you to make this podcast very, very enjoyable to you, and hopefully, bottom line is to help your game. You'll notice I got somebody new on the set today. This is Mulligan. He is my caddy, if you will. He's 4 years old. He's a rescue. He's an absolute sweetheart. Love taking him out on the golf course. The only problem that I have with Mulligan, he can't read putts worth a damn. So we're gonna have to work on that. But I thought I'd bring him up here for part of the show, or maybe the whole show, because he's just a terrific dog. Anyway, I want to get to our guest because he, as I say, just a very interesting guy, just a nice man on and off the golf course. I've had the pleasure of getting to know him a little bit personally. We've played golf together. He's a hell of a player. He's great to watch. He's got so much insight on the game. It's incredible. So I guess without further ado, as they say, let's bring up Mr. Danny Edwards. And Danny, glad to have you on the show again. Thanks for taking the time out, and Mulligan and I are looking forward to it.
Hey, Dennis, great to see you again, and great to be on again. Appreciate it.
Well, no problem. Let me give you a little bit about Danny's background. Danny turned professional way back in 1973. He joined the PGA Tour a couple of years later in 1975. Danny's got 9 professional wins, 5 of them coming on the PGA Tour. The first being, I think it was in 1977, Greater Greensboro Open, which is a terrific tournament through the year. Danny has also completed on the then Nationwide Tour and, of course, the PGA Tour Champions. Danny's older brother, David Edwards, is a former PGA Tour player as well. And between you and I always thought Danny was the better. His brother was the better player. But they're both great guys. Anyway, Danny, at age 18, get this, won the Oklahoma State High School Championship. He attended Oklahoma State and was a member, of course, of their golf team. In 1972 and 1973, he won the Big 8 Conference Championships, the 1972 North and South Amateur, which is a big deal, and was a 3-time All-American, and that's a pretty big deal, too. Danny played on the 1973 Walker Cup and was a low amateur at the British Open that same year, which is quite a feat. After the tour, Danny kind of turned his attention to getting into the business world and became CEO of Green Fix Golf. and an amazing product. And now he is involved as the innovator of something we're going to talk about a bunch towards the end of the show called the chipping equation, which again, we will explore on the show because it's absolutely amazing. I've seen Danny do it. When I've played with Danny, I have done it. It's something that is unbelievable. And if you're looking for a surefire way, shave strokes off your game, this is it. It's not complicated. It's simple. Once you learn it, you're on your way. You're on your way. So anyway, Danny, let me get to this. You won the Oklahoma Open in 1975 and 1977 and 1979. Tell us briefly about that, because that's going to lead to a huge exclusive announcement that you're going to make hopefully later on the show. I don't want you to reveal it now. You told me the other day, but it's fantastic. But tell us about those 3 wins in the Oklahoma Open. Why did you own that tournament so much?
Well, it was, it was an old home week. It was great because I was back. We had a lot of really good golfers through those years, the 70s, Dennis. Gil Morgan, Mark Hayes, Doug Toole, my brother David, of course, Bob Tway, Scott Verplank. I mean, we had a lot of good players in Oklahoma that had come through Oklahoma State. OU had good golf teams as well. So it was a big state open. Guys came from all around the Midwest to play and had great sponsorship with the Daily Oklahoma newspaper there. So it was a very well run tournament. And we got to play it at Oak Tree, which was a terrific Pete Dye course, as many of you know. So it was a nice state open, one of the best.
Oak Tree is fantastic. Danny, was it played at the same course all 3 years that you won?
No, it moved around for a while. I won, I think, 1 year at Dornick Hills in Ardmore, which is a very famous course also. And the other 2 years were at Oak Tree, and actually maybe 1 year it was at Kicking Bird, which was the public golf course in town, the first golf course that was actually built there. So it stayed in the greater Oklahoma City area than most all the time.
Yeah, well, as it should be. Let me ask you this, Danny. Let's get down to business a little bit, and Mulligan, I want you to stay down here for a little bit. Why are not most weekend amateur players getting busy? Now, I don't want you to get into the short game particularly right now because we're going to talk about that with the chipping equation, but what other factors do you see causing them strife, trouble, and keeping them from getting better?
Well, it's a great question, Dennis. The emphasis on golf for a long time has really been on distance and that there's some magic in hitting the ball 10 or 20 yards farther. The reality of our game, in my opinion, is that those 2 items, the distance and even better iron shots, are not really how you score. To get another 10 or 20 yards is just something that's out of reach of 95% of all golfers.
Yeah.
But there's so much emphasis on television on distance. There's so much emphasis from the manufacturers who, they don't make any money promoting the short game. They make money on selling more drivers and irons.
Right.
But the reality is golf is a game of thinking and scoring. And I think Golf Magazine said it really very succinctly one time that scoring in golf starts when you get a wedge in your hand.
True. That is very true. And we're going to explore that. Leaving the short game aside, though, Danny, for the moment, what is the commonality of problems that you see most recreational players have that you play with?
Well,
is it swing related? Is equipment related? Is it course management related? They're hitting the wrong kind of ball. What do you think it is?
Well, it's to somewhat all of the above, but golf is a strategic game. Golf is is a game that requires a strategy. It requires patience. It requires an attitude of hitting one shot at a time. It requires an attitude of realizing that you're going to make mistakes, you're going to hit some poor shots. But all in all, it requires a strategy that is certainly uh, uh, in the area of scoring. I mean, you don't score with a driver. You can recover from a bad drive. You can recover from a poor iron shot to the green if you have a good short game.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot recover from a bad chip. If you chip it 10 or 15 feet, you're not going to make that putt.
Right.
So the reality is the scoring part of golf is largely neglected. There's been really no scientific approach to chipping ever. We've got TrackMan that tells us everything under the sun about the full swing and ball flight and launch angles and descent angles and whatnot. We've got Aimpoint, which is complicated, but it does tell us as we learn how to read the slope on a green with our feet, and then we can mash up a starting point. But there has never been any kind of system to chipping that gives the golfer the ability to actually calculate where to land the ball and then a predictable rollout.
True.
So it's a complicated game. It's got a lot of different parts to it: the irons, the putting, the chipping, the sand. There's a lot of parts to it, plus the mental game and then the strategy of playing. It's just a challenging game.
Yeah, very challenging game. But do you think, Danny, being honest about it, if you walked up to the first tee on a Saturday morning with 4 recreational players, do you really think they care that much about knowing what their launch angle should be, knowing what their spin rate is, their dispersion pattern, this type of thing? They're just looking to get the damn ball in the air towards the green. Do you think they really care that much about it?
Oh, I agree. I don't think they do. They see the tour players, and of course, there's so much TV. They see those players using those tools, but most of them have got to realize, Dennis, that they're not a professional and they're not playing 5 or 6 days a week and practicing 6 or 8 or 10 hours a day. So they don't fit into that mold. They just want to go out and have fun.
Right.
And they want to be able to hit some of the shots that are not complicated shots, like chip shots, well. But what happens is they don't have a plan. They don't have any kind of system. They don't really understand which club to use. And so they have tremendous frustration in the area of chipping and pitching, where they really have the ability to be pretty decent, but they just can't, they don't know what they're doing.
Why isn't the short game, and we all know how important it is overall to scoring, to the game of golf, but why does it not have a lot of sex appeal? Everybody wants to come out on the practice tee and bang drives and this and that and the other, but going over to the practice putting green, chipping around this and that, just doesn't have the same sex appeal. Danny, why is that?
Well, Dennis, I can only surmise that it hasn't been given the attention that it deserves from the people in the game. And I think, again, the manufacturers make their money selling new sets of irons and new golf balls and new drivers. And there's not a big fortune to be made in the chipping and the putting part.
Yeah.
And so it gets neglected. And I'm not sure, honestly, that some of the people in the game at high levels really understand how important it is and how much better so many people could be with chipping if they had a way to calculate how to chip the ball and how to roll it out and horizontal momentum. And so it's just in my opinion an overlooked part of the game that is not particularly glamorous, like the great looking new irons and great looking new drivers.
Right.
But the people in the powers up there have neglected a very important part of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I'm going to follow up with something when we come back, because we are going to step away and take a short break here on the 19th hole podcast for golfers. And when we do come back, we'll have more with our great guest, Mr. Danny Edwards. So don't move a muscle. We're back with you right after this.
Dr. Christopher Choi has long been recognized as one of the top concierge doctors in Las Vegas. Dr. Choi and the entire staff at Comprehensive Wellness Center have earned the reputation of unsurpassed medical care and service to all of their patients. In a continuing effort to always advance his practice, Dr. Choi is now offering an additional service to his current patients, as well as new patients. It's the latest, most advanced laser therapy treatment available. It's true, being in great physical health is very important, but so is the mental boost you get when you know you look your best. Whether you want to lose those wrinkles, diminish those acne scars, decrease pigmentation, skin tightening, or permanent fat reduction, this procedure is the answer. You'll have peace of mind knowing there is no actual surgery and no downtime. You just get results with these amazing laser treatments. You might wonder if it hurts? The answer is no. All you feel is a slight tingly feeling during the procedure. You'll love the results. Call Comprehensive Wellness Center at 702-463-8080.
Innovation begins at a single point. Elements, each with their unique character. Fire-forged steel creates unprecedented control. Chemistry delivers a touch so soft, combined to create a level of performance previously unimagined. Like magic, the Elixir, the new tour ball from Encore.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the 19th hole, a podcast for golfers. I'm Dennis Silvers, having a wonderful conversation with a wonderful guy, former PGA Tour player, Mr. Danny Edwards. And Danny, I just got a text from your brother David saying, tell Danny's not giving me enough credit. What's that all about?
Well, I'd first say actually, David is 5 years younger than me, so I imagine he's a little bit sore about being called older than me to start with.
Yeah.
But anyway, David was but was certainly a terrific player. He won some great tournaments on the PGA Tour, and he is an outstanding player. And if anyone knows the short game and executed short game well, David did, because he wasn't a long hitter. So he knows the short game pretty well himself. But of course, again, as tour players, we were practicing that part of the game all the time. And the average player just doesn't do that.
Exactly right. The 5 wins that you have on the PGA Tour, was the most satisfying, Danny, the one you won with your brother at Walt Disney?
Well, certainly that was a big event for us, to be down there together and to enjoy both playing well and winning that tournament. Disney World was a nice event, a big event, and that was a special event. We had a really good run. The final round, I played pretty good the front 9, and David played great the back 9. Made, I think, 3 birdies coming down the stretch, the last 5 or 6 holes, and that sealed the deal for us. So that was a great time and a great memory.
Back in the day on tour, when you were on the PGA Tour, did you consider yourself a very good short game professional, or was it so-so, or how did you rank yourself?
No, I would consider myself a good short game player. I wasn't a great putter. I made putts. I had kind of stretches, but I was a good player around the green. I studied it a lot. I had a great opportunity to hang around with a guy that most people know over in Japan. We had the same agent named Severiano Ballesteros.
Yeah.
And I asked him one time, Sevi, what's your secret to chipping? We played at the Masters numerous times. And he kind of looked around over his shoulder, left and right, see if anybody was listening. And he said, Danny, you have to find the spot. And I thought about that. And I think what Seve meant was you have to find the spot to land the ball when you're chipping a ball.
Right.
And that's kind of what the equation is based on, finding the right spot so that the ball will roll out and finish by the hole.
Exactly. And you do that so well, so well. Danny, what do you think the PGA Tour Champions has to do to liven up their events? You know, the real all-stars of the PGA Tour really don't play that much on the Champions Tour, if at all. They play very sparingly. That's a big draw. Maybe at some of the venues and stuff. What would you do to really give it some punch, give it some more energy?
Oh, Dennis, that is a tough question. Well, you know, these guys still play very, very good golf.
Yes, they do.
They really are good players. They know the game. They know how to score. You know, I mean, that's a tough question, but maybe, you know, you have to know that the vast majority of golfers that are watching the Champions Tour, that do watch it, I would think maybe relate a little bit more closely to their game than they do the tour players, the regular tour. You know, the guys that are 50, 60, 70 years old and gals
Right.
watching at home kind of feel a little closer to the Champions Tour players. So maybe somehow having those guys share some of the things that they do and have learned, some of their strategies, might be something that the average golfer would be able to get a grip on better than some of all the stuff on the regular tour that's just, you know, 340 and 50-yard drives and, you know, 5 irons that go 240 yards that they just can't even imagine.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point, and that's very well said. You hear a lot of talk from a lot of different players, at least in my perception, that when they are involved in a major such as yourself, they practice differently. Why do you practice different for a major than you would a regular tour event?
Well, I'd say basically, Dennis, because the golf courses are generally set up tougher, more difficult for the majors. They kind of want to separate the players, they say. So, you can think back to the Opens where the greens are rock hard, the fairways are narrow, 25 to 30 yards wide. The rough is very thick. So the majors are set up to be more challenging tournaments,
Mm-hmm.
and to reward the guys that are really playing fantastic golf. And so that's the difference. So when you practice and get ready for those tournaments, you know, as the joke was, you go out and try to hit shots into your driveway and keep them staying on your driveway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are, you know, they're always very tough challenge mentally and physically, both.
Most people think that winning a major, or, you know, if you're lucky enough to be a multiple winner of a major, is much, much more important than winning regular tour events. Do you think so? Because I think a win is a win. And to be honest with you, I'd rather win 40 regular tour events and no majors than one major and maybe 3 or 4 tournaments.
Well, I think you would say, Dennis, all players that have played the tour and had a chance to win and went out there would dream of winning a major. That is the pinnacle of professional golf.
Sure.
Because of the fact that the courses are so tough, all the best players are playing at that tournament, whereas a regular tour event may not have all the best players and usually doesn't. You're challenged mentally, you're challenged, your emotions are challenged, your patience is challenged. And truly, to win a major, it takes all of those things for a player to control, to come home with that major championship trophy. And it is the pinnacle of professional golf.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I agree with you there. But, let's not overlook, regular tour events. They've got a good field, too. They play some good tracks. You've got to make
Yeah.
putts. You
Oh,
got to hit shots. And, it's just,
sure.
it's really just as important.
Yeah.
Before we step away again for another quick break, when you were low amateur at the Open, what course was that played on, Danny? I'm ashamed to say I don't remember.
No, that was at Troon Golf Club in Ayrshire, Scotland. It was my first trip over there. I got to play a practice round with a fella named Bobby Locke. If
Ah,
I'd have had
wow.
any sense at all, I would have gotten his autograph and a picture. But of course, there were no smartphones or anything like that.
Yeah.
But I did get to see the man and play 18 holes with the man that's considered the greatest putter of all time, and I remember it well.
Yeah, I'm sure he did not disappoint, did he? Was it an
Oh,
eye
no.
opener for you when he was on the greens?
No. Every putt he hit, Dennis, looked like it had a magnet on it toward the hole.
Wow.
It was rolling and had eyes. He made putts that day that went in the side of the hole, the front of the hole, the back of the hole, everywhere around the hole. That ball wanted to go in the hole.
Wow.
It was
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah, he is incredible. All right, hang loose. We're going to step away again, take a short break, and we're going to leave you with our game improvement tip of the week by Adam Bazalgette. Great instructor in Florida, 3-time PGA section champion, and he's from Scratch Golf Academy and stuff. So we'll do that. We'll take some breaks. We'll come back with our special guest, Danny Edwards.
Hi, Adam Bazalgette here, founder of Scratch Golf Academy for the 19th hole weekend edition and our game tip of the week. Today, let's look at how much to hit down on an iron. Well, when they measure the tour pros, they only hit about 4 or 5 degrees down when looked at on a launch monitor. Think of it this way. The single stroke of a second hand on a clock is 6 degrees, 60 times 6 being 360. So the downward hit is fractional. And here's something that you probably don't realize. The golf club in total for a great player is actually rising away from the ground. So how does it measure a slight downward hit? Here's how they do it. Add impact. The great players have the handle forward and their weight forward. That tilts the sweet spot onto the ball, helps them hit the ball before the ground and compress it. The leaning shaft is enough to give you a downward hit. Here's the way I think you want to think of it. If you had a broom and you were sweeping a floor, you would want to have enough handle forward to put some pressure on the bristles, get them to lean slightly against the rug or the wood floor or whatever, but you shouldn't drive the entire broom into the ground. So most players hit way too much down and then have to bail out at the last minute. Your goal, like the broom, lean the handle forward, create a fraction of pressure, and temper that by letting the handle of the broom arc slightly away from the carpet. If you're brushing the carpet, you've got enough downward hit.
When it comes to golf, I'm a man of few words, as you'll see. Looking for out-of-this-world technology in your golf ball? Encore Golf. Looking for exceptional performance and durability? Encore Golf. Looking for the best performing ball for the price? Encore Golf. Check them out at Encore Golf, that's ONCORE golf.com. Your scores will thank you. Well, welcome back, everybody. You can see Mulligan jump back into my lap here. He wanted to catch Danny Edwards on camera because he's also a fan of his. So you just stay there and relax and listen to what Danny has to say. So, Danny, how did somebody born in Ketchikan, Alaska, end up in Oklahoma? How does that work?
Well, it was a circuitous path. I was there, Dennis, in Alaska, a grand total of 3 months. There was a tuberculosis scare, and my mom said, "I'm getting him out of there." So she took me and went to Kansas City, and my dad followed a few months later, and then we went to Missouri and ended up down in Oklahoma. So I kind of moved around a few places. But the funny thing about being born in Alaska was that one year, I don't know whether it was Sports Illustrated or some magazine, rated the best professional athlete of every state. And I was picked the best athlete of Alaska, and I was there for 3 months.
Wow, that's interesting. That's interesting. So they dumped all the bobsledders for you. That's
Yeah,
that's
that's
very,
right.
that's
That's right.
very good. You got into the business world when you started relinquishing a little bit and a little bit on playing on tour, and started with Green Fix Golf. How did that come about, and what is Green Fix Golf?
Well, Green Fix Golf was a company, actually one I started, maybe second or third one, for a revolutionary patented ball mark repair tool. We always go on the greens and see all the brown spots. Everybody talks about fixing their ball marks. And the reality is those two-pronged tools and a golf tee that people go in and pry up the center of the ball mark actually do way more damage than if you didn't do anything. So I designed and patented a tool, Green Fix, that had very short little tongs, only about a quarter of an inch long, and a stopper behind it. So you just pushed in and caved in the walls of the ball mark, not destroying all the root structure. And the 6 or 7 university research studies that we did pretty much all supported that it was a much safer way to fix ball marks. But, it's hard to change a paradigm. It's hard to change something that's been around the game for so long. And although I had a couple of hundred courses ban traditional tools for the Green Fix, I just never could quite get it over the hump. The superintendents are guys they're great guys. They're very smart and experienced. But they just kind of want to be left alone to their world. They're not real outgoing guys usually. And so although we had terrific courses like Medina in Chicago and Desert Mountain, great courses, it just was a tough task, and I couldn't quite get it over the hump. That was actually my second one. Royal Grip was really the first
Royal Grip,
grip business that I started, Dennis, out in Scottsdale.
Right.
And that's really why I left the tour, was to start Royal Grip.
Right, I remember that. And you're right, superintendents to do a great job, but they're kind of slow to change, as a lot of people are in the golf industry. And that brings me around to the chipping equation. How did you get involved in that, and basically tell all of our listeners and viewers what that is, and then we'll get into some specifics.
Well, in my many years playing the PGA Tour, and especially on the Wednesdays and Mondays playing in Pro-Ams, I noticed and I agonized over the difficulty amateur golfers have chipping. And I would ask them, okay, how are you going to play this shot? The ball's here, there's the cup. What club are you going to use? Well, I'm going to use my 56 or my 58-degree lob or my 60-degree lob wedge. Okay, where are you going to land this ball? And they would look at me like deer in the headlights. So what do you mean? I said, well, where are you going to land this ball on the green? And they would say, well, I'm going to land it up there, okay, I guess maybe halfway or something. I said, so you're really just guessing where you're going to land it? Well, yeah, I guess so. So it became very obvious, Dennis, over the years that guessing is not a good way to chip.
No.
Because if you don't chip the ball within 2, 3, 4, or 5 feet of the hole, you're not going to make a high percentage of those putts.
Right.
So it became very obvious to me that the vast majority of golfers needed some kind of method or system to allow them to pick an accurate spot and then have a predictable rollout. So I did some study and with clubs, and it was clear that horizontal momentum is a golfer's friend around the greens, and vertical momentum is not their friend. And I wanted to confirm that that was just not my opinion. So I commissioned the first ever TrackMan analysis of chipping about 2.5 years ago in Denmark. And it was done by a guy who has gotten to be a friend and was one of the 3 original calibrators of the TrackMan system. And the final analysis basically said with speeds below 30 miles an hour, or chipping speeds, and lofts above 45 degrees, which is everything above a pitching wedge, the ball starts rolling up the face, skidding across the face, compromising spin rate, launch angle, and quality of strike.
Right.
The reality is the lob wedges are flawed for playing shots around the green because the ball does not have enough speed to compress on the face, and it just skids up the face.
Right.
We've all hit shots with a lob wedge that went about half what we thought they were supposed to go after hitting them fairly well, we thought. And it's not because a player made a poor stroke, it's because the club has too much loft. When the ball is played on the ground with horizontal momentum, it is moving toward your target. So what the chipping equation does, Dennis, is allows the golfer to accurately determine a precise landing spot with a specific club and a formula, so that when the player chips that ball and lands on that spot, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 steps at the most in front of the ball, it will roll out a predictable amount to the hole. Physics says if this club, if a pitching wedge hits a ball, chips a ball 3x, or 1x, it'll roll out 2x. There's the laws of physics are on our side, and it is predictable. So it allows players to play shots all around the greens with a plan, with a method, with a landing spot. And instead of having to look out 50 or 60 or 70 or 80 feet, you'll be trying to chip the ball and chipping the ball within 4, 5, 6, 7 steps right in front of you, which everybody can learn to do. And the rollout is predictable because of horizontal momentum.
Right. And you've had so many people that you have helped with this, because I know you've told me stories about it, that just knock an incredible amount of strokes off their game after they use this for a while. And you've got verified testimonials from these people, Danny.
Oh, yes, Dennis, for the last year and a half, I've been teaching this system around the country, and it's been so much fun to hear the responses from people. They show up and they say, I don't know what I'm doing. I have no idea. 30 minutes, 45 minutes later, they're quiet, and they look back at me and said, I've never chipped a ball like this in my life. This is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I get texts and messages, emails. This has changed my game. I can score now. And it's not because I'm any great teacher. It's because the system really works. It's simple. It's easy to calculate.
Right.
It has a group of modifications that a player can apply to different kinds of geographic situations. The basic formulas are built on a 10-11 stimp green flat surface, but you can play uphill shots, you can play downhill shots, you can play shots on grass on fast greens. And it's just about making a modification to your landing spot.
Yeah.
And it's really the one place in golf where average golfers and even really good golfers, college players, can take 2, 3, 4, 5 strokes off their scores every time they play. I had a guy call me a week or two ago who's a good player. I've played with a number of times. 3 handicap golfer, played a lot of senior USGA events. He said, all right, I'm going to take your class. He took the class. He looked up at me and said, man, this really works, doesn't it? He sent the text and he said, Danny, I missed 5 greens today. I chipped, I got 3 of them up and down, and the other 2 I chipped in the hole. So that's a good report.
Yeah.
I have fellows who now have gone from chipping 2 out of 10 to chipping 8 out of 10 up and down. And again, it's because the formula works. Horizontal momentum is our friend. Playing the ball on the ground is our friend, but you've got to have a system. You can't just keep guessing.
Absolutely, absolutely correct. And first time I played with Danny in San Francisco, I was up close and personal and saw what he was doing as far as walking off, where you needed to hit the ball, the reaction that it would have, and it was just absolutely amazing. We're going to step away again real short time, Danny. I come back, I want you to tell people where they can find you, where they can find the chipping equation, and then we'll finally get to this fantastic honor that you're going to have bestowed on you pretty soon. So stay with us. We're going to be back right after this, more with Danny Edwards.
One of the buzzwords happening in golf is the word lag. You hear it all the time, but what is it, and how do I get it? Lag simply is the loading of the club to help produce tons of power in your golf swing. Up until now, getting lag into your swing has been very hard. Introducing the lag shot, a brand new proven training aid being praised by some of the leading PGA Tour instructors across the globe. This practice aid trains your hands, arms and body how to make a powerful, efficient golf swing with an amazing amount of lag. Lag shot is a 7-iron length club with the same loft and lie with a whippy, flexible blue shaft and a beautiful jet black club head. After you master the lag shot, your game will change forever with a stress-free swing, more power and more distance with lower scores every time you play. Go to lagshotgolf.com and you'll see why this truly is becoming the #1 training aid in golf. Visit lagshotgolf.com.
Hey golfers, I've been a golf talk show host for a long time and I've been playing golf even longer. Being in golf media, I've had the chance to play every ball ever made. I've tried them all. Well, my search is finally over because I found the best ball I have ever played with. And more golfers are finding the same thing. I started playing with the Elixir golf ball made by Encore Golf. Encore Golf has revolutionized both their golf balls, the Elixir or the Avant 55, or the brand new Vero X1, to where the performance of either will simply blow you away. It did me. If you're looking for better performance and durability with your ball, Encore Golf has it. Don't just take my word for it. Check them out at encoregolf.com and you'll become convinced, as I am, the first time you tee it up with Encore. It's the best performing ball for the price. Go to encoregolf.com and see for yourself. Your scores will love you for it. That's ONCORE golf.com. All right, thanks for hanging in there with us. We're about to wrap up the show with our very special guest, Mr. Danny Edwards. And Danny, for people that are looking at the show and they're saying, this is cool, I'm a terrible chipper, I got to learn to get it up and down more. I'd like to say, shave 3 or 4 more strokes off of my game. How do they get a hold of you? How do they get their hands on your product?
Sure, Dennis. I have a website, DannyEdwardsGolf.com, and I have my video on that site. It's a great video. It's professionally done. It goes through all the basics of the program, the formulas, the strategy, and how to play a whole variety of shots. Short side situations, the dreaded short side, very intimidating shots can be made very simple. So that's available. I would also encourage golfers to reach out to their golf professional and say, why don't we invite this guy to come and do a seminar at our golf course? I've done numerous seminars at courses in the summertime up in Long Island, Boston area, down here in Florida in the winter. Where I'll have 8 or 10 people for a couple hours, and we go through the program, and they're just elated when they finish, and the responses are fantastic. So that's really the ways to, you can reach out to me at greenfixgolf@gmail.com is my regular email address. And we can set something up to come out. And really what I want to do is train the golf professionals who are interested, and then they can continue to educate their membership. I don't want to come in and steal their thunder. I want to bring them something that is going to make their members happy, and that they can, it's going to be a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know, as you know, I'm working with some people here to try to get you out to Las Vegas to do a huge clinic for people. And I know that the golf course would appreciate it. The golfers obviously would appreciate it. The city would appreciate it. And besides, it would be a hell of a lot of fun. All right, finally, before we close out the show, tell us what's going to be happening to you towards the end of the year, something very special.
Well, unfortunately, since I talked to you, I've been asked to keep that close to my vest for another few months.
Oh, okay.
But,
All right.
Something pretty exciting that I'll probably have it on my website in a few months, and I'll certainly let you know, Dennis, and we'll have it out there. But they got a lot of planning and a lot of work to do, and so they wanted to kind of keep it quiet for a while.
I get that. I understand that. I'm glad I just didn't go, spout it off and, blow the whole, the lid off the can. But I know it's going to be very, very exciting, very, very meaningful to you and your wife and all of your family. It's going to be absolutely great. But anyway, Danny, thank you so much for being on. Always great to see you. Always great to talk to you. Great information. Good luck with the chipping equation. Like I said, we're trying to get you out here and need you to stay well. And we'll be back in touch soon.
Great. Thank you so much, Dennis. Enjoyed it.
My pleasure. All right. Thank you, Danny. That's it. Go wrap it up for this edition of the 19th Hole podcast for golfers. Danny's a great guy. He's a great player, and just a credit to the game. All right. Stay well, everybody. Try to get out and play some golf. And for Mulligan and me, say goodbye, Mulligan. Yeah, okay. He doesn't have his makeup on, so that's why. But anyway, take care, everybody. We'll see you right back, same place next week. So long.